Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash, Barakatom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well, and peace and salutations to Yahakim out there pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the Brother Raya with another video, and I'll be reading from an article on the Sun.co.uk titled, Taking on Tehran, U.S. to deploy 500 troops to expanding Saudi Arabian airbase to front up to Iran threat, and expect the U.S. to send more than just 500 troops, because Saudi Arabia is going to be the main staging ground for this upcoming war with Iran, which will play into the bigger battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, that war of Armageddon in the Middle East. This is Joel chapter 2 verse 20. But I will remove far off from you the northern army from North America, the United States military, all branches, the majority of which is going to be in the Middle East, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, the Middle East, which is a desert, again Saudi Arabia, because that's going to be the main staging ground for this upcoming war, with his face toward the East Sea. And when we go to a map of the Middle East, you've got Saudi Arabia right here, and to the east you've got the Persian Gulf, and above the Persian Gulf you have Iran, and you also have the Strait of Hormuz right here, which you've been hearing a lot about in the news lately. And to the northeast you've got the Euphrates and Tigris River, and his hinder part, or behind him toward the utmost sea, the Red Sea. And his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he hath done great things. There's going to be a great slaughter of you U.S. Military personnel in the Middle East during this battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat. If you're a U.S. soldier that finds yourself in the Middle East during this war, you better come to terms with the fact that that's going to be your final resting place. And not just you U.S. military personnel, but the military personnel from these other nations that are going to be dragged into this war of Armageddon. And the reason all this is happening is because Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is visiting you heathens for the iniquity you've committed against the apple of his eye, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, which are the true children of Israel, mainly by you Edomites, or so-called Caucasians. This is Joel chapter 3. I'm going to start at verse 1. For behold, in those days and in that time, and we're living in that time right now, the last seconds of these last days, the last rulership of the heathen, chiefly by Esau Edom, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah, the southern kingdom of the so-called Negroes, the so-called African Americans, and Negroes in the West Indies, and Jerusalem, the northern kingdom of the so-called Latinos and Native Americans. The elect from both kingdoms are waking up to the fact that they're Israelites and coming back to their power and following these laws, statutes, and commandments to the best of their ability, so they can have that protective hedge of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai over them during these coming terrible times of Jacob's trouble. Verse 2, I will also gather all nations, that northern army, the United States, Russia, China, Saudi Arabia, the state of Israel, where those Israeli imposter Amalekite Edomites dwell, who are going to be the ones that are going to kick off this war with Iran, Turkey, the UK, you name it. All these heathen nations gathered down into the Valley of Jehoshaphat, and will bring them down into the Valley of Jehoshaphat, which means Yahweh Shaphat, or Yahweh's judgment, and will plead with them there for my people. And that word plead doesn't mean that the Most High is going to come to you heathens with a bouquet of roses and a box of chocolates to ask you to let his people go. When we go to the Strong's, plead is
Strong's H8199, Shaphat. Shaphat.
Shaphat. To judge, govern, vindicate, punish, avenged, condemn, execute. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is bringing a sore slaughter to you heathens, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land, mainly you Edomites, taking the southern kingdom from the west coast of Africa to the Americas, enslaving the Native Americans and so-called Latinos in the Americas, and putting them into slavery and just abusing them from the past all the way up until today, putting Planned Parenthoods in our neighborhoods, giving us poisonous food and water, and shooting our people dead in the streets, and parted my land, which you heathens have also done. You've got those Ishmaelites, or so-called Arabs, calling themselves Palestinians in the land, as well as, again, those Amalekite Edomites calling themselves Israelis. And when we jump down to verse 9, it reads, "Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, which the men of the Lord are doing, chiefly through GMS, or Great Millstone, by going out there on the highways and byways preaching this word, as well as putting up video epistles like this. Prepare war, World War III, that war of Armageddon, that battle in the valley of Jehoshaphat. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up." Which we're seeing just from that title, from that article on the star.co.uk, with the U.S. sending 500 troops to Saudi Arabia. Verse 10, "Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I am strong." Just go look at the news to see that all these nations are gearing up for war. Verse 11, "Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, you Edomites or so-called Caucasians, you Ishmaelites or so-called Arabs, you Moabites or so-called Chinese, etc., etc., and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh." And those mighty ones are speaking of the death angels of the Most High, which are waiting to get the signal to release all this destruction. Verse 12, "Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, Yahweh's Shaphat, or Yahweh's judgment, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about," again for touching the apple of his eye, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And you can go to Psalms chapter 83 to see the table of nations of those heathens that came against us, and Esau, Edom's at the head of that list. Verse 13, "Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahweh is near in the valley of decision." And this day is right around the corner. Our salvation is nearer than what we believed. And you can see all the signs out there. You had a solar and a lunar eclipse, which we know the Most High shows signs in the heavens before he pulls off something big. You had Yahushai's face appear in the sky, and you had that chariot, which was on fire, appear in the sky. And you've got earthquakes in diverse places, pestilences such as that flesh-eating bacteria, Ebola, measles, you name it, famines. You can look up to see that there's a pending food crisis all around the globe, nation against nation, these different races getting geared up to fight each other in an upcoming race war, wars and rumors of wars such as this. This is a rumor of war, that the U.S. is deploying 500 troops to Saudi Arabia. But let's get into this article. The U.S. is preparing to send 500 troops to Saudi Arabia to front up to the growing Iran threat, it was reported last night. They will be deployed to a remote base east of the Saudi capital Riyadh, according to 2 U.S. defense officials. U.S. troops, that Northern Army, are being deployed to a desert base, a land barren and desolate, in Saudi Arabia, in the face of the growing Iranian threat. The USS Misher Center and other vessels in a strike group sailed behind the USS John C. Stennis aircraft carrier in December. Beat your plowshares into swords, your pruning hooks into spears. The move will fortify the growing Prince Sultan Air Base, which is being heavily built up with the Patriot missile defense battery and an improved runway, CNN reported. It's hoped that 5th generation F-22 stealth jets and other fighters will be flown from the base to strike Iranian targets should war break out, which it will, the unnamed officials said. U.S. military chiefs believed the site is well protected from Iranian attack because of its remote desert location, and it's not, because once the U.S. goes to war with Iran, Russia and China are going to be dragged in to fight on the side of Iran. It comes amid feverish tensions between Iran and the West that has seen tense naval standoffs and attacks on oil supply routes. And that's pretty much it with this article. You get the point. But as you brothers can see, we're getting closer and closer to all hell breaking loose. So now more than ever, you should have all 10 toes down in this truth and be fully assured in your faith in Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai and doing whatever you need to do to make your calling and election sure, so you can have that protective hedge of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai over you during these coming terrible times of Jacob's trouble. So with this video, I hope you sincere Akim were edified. And as always, I'm going to say Abba Babal, Kwam Yasharallah. Till next time, Shalom.